So good afternoon everyone, I'm Tony Scadden, I'm from Swift Connect, and today we're going to be speaking around the changing perception of security and unlocking the value of that security platform. So if we look back into the history of security, there's a lot of legacy in our business, especially around the mindset of how we deal with a security platform. So it could be a door opener with minimal integration and quite a legacy infrastructure, and that's generally the perception that we find when we sort of look back across systems that are coming up for renewal, or for customers looking to sort of push the boundaries in what's possible when they come to replace the platform. So looking at security as a door opener, as Lee keeps saying, security is meant to keep people out with this legacy mindset. Managed by physical security teams in most cases, and the data is archived in most cases and not utilized. So again, this is sort of more of a legacy view. And from an integration perspective, video intrusion and intercom are pretty much your three main integrations with a traditional security platform, but again, that's also taken into account hardwired and non-standards based APIs, so very proprietary integrations, very proprietary cabling requirements. And then no real interface or no easy, seamless, open interface with IT platforms. And then we bring in legacy architecture, so physical servers and thick clients, physical servers in server cabinets or sometimes under a desk. Security can also be seen as an afterthought in most cases, especially with new builds, shell and core. Lots of manual effort to get information into systems, so whether that's importing CSV files of credential holders, migrating across platforms, how do we get this out of one and into another? And then physical credentials, so plastic cards, a clunky user experience, especially if you have to issue a credential to somebody remotely. They would invariably have to turn up to an office, collect their card that's been printed, that's been manually inputted into the system by the security providers, and then effectively handed out. They would then sort of drive back to where they need to be to get access to a building. So not a great user experience. But really what we look at focusing on now, moving forward, and especially in the sort of last 5 years or so, when we've really seen sort of a strong drive in digital transformation for the security business, is changing the way we engage with buildings. So looking at security as a strategic asset, looking at showing value in real time from the security platform, and delivering a modern solution to customers, a seamless solution, and one that's based on IT and open standards. So it's not just about doors and cameras, and I think when we mention security, it's quite pigeonholing. It really is a business critical system. It's an IT system. So I think we need to really sort of start looking at how we enable the IT systems to incorporate security platforms themselves. It's about bringing in trust. So there's, this can be in many forms, but ultimately using single sign-on to then create trust and zero trust between taking credentials into the Apple Wallet as an example. It's about improving that experience for customers. So again, on the previous slide, we was talking about issuing of credentials, potentially being clunky, and again, with high friction, high manual input. So again, how can we improve that experience with things like automation and then modern technology around credentials, and drive operational efficiencies as well, which ultimately saves the business a ton in cost. Showing value in real time. So how can we then provide data-driven insights to customers? And this really sort of comes down to space utilization, Wi-Fi and area utilization within buildings. So again, customers can then look at driving efficiencies within their business and save cost. And also compliance. So, we know that IT operate at a high level of compliance. Why not leverage that compliance in the security space as well? So we're onboarding through, generally speaking, an Active Directory or a HR integration to populate the credential holders. So how can we sort of leverage those onboarding policies and then use those to populate credential holders into the security platforms? And then looking at integration beyond security alone. So we always talk about beyond security, what is possible and the art of the possible. It's really just limited by time and budget. So again, we really sort of encourage customers when we speak to them to sort of tell us their wants and needs, their operational efficiencies and their goals as a business, as opposed to pure straight security requirements. And then delivering a modern solution. So access is the front door to your brand. How cool is that if you just rock up to your office in the morning? If you want to attract talent, you want to have innovative ways to gain access to your building's seamless, slick interface to gaining access. So again, we can do that with wearables, we can do that with mobile access, and there's other ways of doing that as well. And then make it as seamless and secure with automation. So we want to be as hands-off as possible. And again, this is sort of driving the efficiencies piece. So if we look at how we then get the identity out of the onboarding platform that the company is using, we can then use that to be pulled down into the credential provider, into our security platform, and then really sort of leverage that across interconnected parts of the business. So that one identity is then onboarded, you enroll your badge, you can then get access to your office block or your building or your estate, but then you can also take advantage immediately of things like lifts, integrations, turnstiles, room bookings, and then multiple access to very disparate systems as well. So you don't even have to physically have one security platform across your campus if you don't have the budgets to rip and replace. And then what we're finding is there's cross-business collaboration for a connected user experience, which also comes into play when you're looking at other stakeholders that we can leverage to fund security initiatives to drive innovation and digital transformation in the security space. So how do we then look at winning in the era of mobile and cloud? So again, software is transforming the way we engage with access control and security as a whole. So mobile credentials are invariably the new standard which customers want to use. They're used to using Apple Pay and Google Wallet for paying for their coffee in the morning, for using their express credentials with travel, so why not use that at the front door of your business? And then flip the narrative in terms of how people perceive security. So security can then be seen as a positive rather than an overhead and a burden to the business, and this sort of department that sort of is quite restrictive in how people move around their business and effectively seen as a blocker. And then we can look at increasing budget by driving more enablement with efficiencies. And then upskilling the integrator skill set, so developing expertise, and this can be leveraged from the IT teams. We touched on this in the panel earlier on today, how we can leverage the IT teams to provide skill sets to integrators around identity, mobile, cloud, and also cyber best practice. These are just sort of the stalwarts and the expected skill sets within our industry. And again, I think there's a lot that we can still learn and take and engage with IT to up our skill set. And then integrate with workplace experience platforms. So again, people may want to use an app. They may want to check in with room booking. There's amenities that can be leveraged using an application. So how can we plug into that to drive more engagement, but also the ESG goals, like the social piece around the ESG governance piece. How do we drive social engagement with security using app-based products, like your sort of Curiosities of the world? And then deliver measurable long-term value to the client. It's about, as we keep saying, leveraging that tech layer and tailoring the solution to the end user to provide them ultimately with a meaningful platform that they can leverage and then engage with for years to come. And then winning in a crowded market, it's all about being able to bridge the legacy systems with a modern, robust, mobile and cloud-native platform, integrate with the workplace experience platforms, and ultimately create a seamless user-centric experience and journey for the customers. So we at Swift Connect and who we really are about sort of changing the way people engage with buildings, and really for us it's about connecting the people to the right spaces at the right time. And we use the word spaces because ultimately that can be a building, that can be an office block, that can be a site that's just connected to the access control network, but it's about making sure that customers can actually get into those premises in a modern way that can be automated and again provide that seamless user experience and operational efficiencies. In terms of integrations, if you think of Swift Connect existing at the middle of this hub here, it really is just a flexible, agnostic middleware platform that really enables customers to, first of all, engage with the IT team seamlessly. So you can look at mobile device management programs, MDM. How do we then sort of roll out an application to our mobile workforce and bring your own device? This can be done very simply with MDM tools like Intune and Jamf as an example. And then once you're enrolled in a mobile platform, how do we then get credentials into the wallet? Well, then we can also be the manager and provider of credentials with companies like HID, Wavelinks, and leverage Google and Apple Wallet credential technology to then improve user experience when you're using credentials, but also issue credentials remotely. And again, from the readers and locks perspective and also the access control platform perspective, it's really just about sort of breaking down the barriers in terms of you needing to rip and replace or engage with one provider to deliver that solution for you. It's about making it seamless, easy to integrate, but also, you don't then have to physically write integrations via various different partner programs and different APIs. It's one integration that takes care of all of that automation between the platforms and ultimately provides a great user experience and a very automated, operationally efficient way of dealing with the security platform. So my name's Tony Scudden, Business Development Manager for Swift Connect. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Do you have any questions? Thanks, guys.